Ever feel like you're just bombarded with a million different things telling you how to think and feel? Like how to live your best life?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it can be so overwhelming.
It really can.
So that's why today we're diving into a book that kind of cuts through all that noise
Oh, I like that.
with this radical idea that you already have everything you need
Mm-hmm.
to unlock your potential.
I like it.
It's all about your thoughts.
Powerful.
We're talking about As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
Yes, a
You
classic.
hear this one?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredible.
It's pretty wild to think this book was actually written back in 1903,
I know.
and it feels so incredibly relevant for today, right?
Absolutely. Maybe even more so now.
Even more so now.
In our crazy world.
I think so, with all the chaos. So Allen's big idea, and get ready for it,
Yeah.
because it's kind of going to blow your mind.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Hit me with it.
Our thoughts are literally the architects of our lives.
It's true.
Not just our moods, not just our vibes,
Right.
but like our actual tangible circumstances.
It's wild how he lays it all out so clearly, too. He doesn't just say, think happy thoughts.
Right.
He really digs deep into this idea that our thoughts are literally building our character, like brick by brick.
Yeah.
And then that character determines whether we're, stumbling on obstacles or building a ladder to climb right over them.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this a little bit. One of the things that really struck me was Allen's analogy of the mind as a garden.
Oh, I love that analogy. It's so powerful.
Okay, so he says, not until right thought and right action are aligned can man achieve what he truly desires. And he also says, the laws of growth and adaptation everywhere obtain.
Hmm.
It's like he's saying our minds work by the same exact principles as nature,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. What I find so fascinating about that is that he takes this really abstract idea of thoughts and makes it something that we can all wrap our heads around.
Totally.
Like, have you ever planted a garden?
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect to, get tomatoes if you're planting a bunch of thistle seeds out there, right?
Right.
No, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
It's the same with our thoughts.
And just like a gardener has to tend to their plot, right?
Right.
Like pulling weeds, adding nutrients, all that stuff. Allen's arguing that we have to tend to our minds with that same level of care and intention.
It's so true.
Are we letting fear and self-doubt and negativity just run rampant?
Yeah.
Or are we actually, actively planting those seeds of courage and self-belief and hope?
And that's where I think that adaptation piece comes in, from the quote.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even just about planting those seeds. It's about actually creating the right conditions for them to flourish. Which makes me think about how often we get caught up focusing on all those external factors that we can't control, when what we really should be focusing on, is cultivating our internal landscape.
That's such a good point. And this is where I think Allen gets really interesting and honestly a little challenging.
Yeah, I agree.
He talks about how easily we can fall into the trap of blaming our circumstances, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like our jobs or our relationships, even just like the state of the world
Mm-hmm.
for our unhappiness.
All the time.
And he says, and this is a direct quote, many men are slaves because one is an oppressor, let us hate the oppressor.
Mm.
It's like that blame game we all play.
Yes.
But then he hits us with this, a man is an oppressor because many are slaves, let us despise the slaves.
Whoa.
Right.
Yeah. It's like he's saying, instead of us pointing fingers and being like, you're the reason that I'm not where I want to be.
Yeah.
Like maybe, just maybe we need to look in the mirror a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And ask ourselves, what are we doing to kind of perpetuate this whole situation?
Totally.
It's a tough pill to swallow, I think.
It is. It is.
But it can be incredibly empowering at the same time.
It really can.
Because if we're the ones who are ultimately responsible for keeping ourselves stuck, well, then we also hold the key to actually breaking free.
Yes, absolutely. And that brings us to, I think, another really key point in Allen's whole philosophy, which is this idea of sacrifice.
Okay.
And I think, before anyone checks out, thinking this is about deprivation or giving up everything that you enjoy,
Right.
it's not that kind of sacrifice.
No, not at all. It's more like he says, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he essentially says that every desire that we have,
Mhm.
Whether it's material wealth or spiritual enlightenment or whatever it is that we want,
Mm-hmm.
it demands something from us in return. There's an exchange that happens there.
Yeah.
It's about making that conscious choice.
So it's like if you're serious about, growing that amazing garden in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to get your hands a little dirty.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have to be willing to pull out the weeds of, the negative self-talk, those limiting beliefs, those old habits that are always kind of tripping you up.
Yeah, and that's the sacrifice right there. It's actually choosing to do the work.
Right.
Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it would be so much easier to just, stay stuck in our old patterns.
Yeah, and it reminds me of this quote. I don't even remember who said it, but it's like, the only thing that's standing between you and your dream is the willingness to try and the belief that it's actually possible.
Oh, I love that.
And-
It speaks to this incredible power that we have within us to create the lives that we truly desire, right? But here's the thing, I think, where, rubber meets the road here, is it starts with actually aligning our thoughts with those aspirations. It's about becoming, really selective about what we're allowing to take root in our minds.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that our thoughts are literally like seeds, right?
Yes.
Every single thought, whether it's conscious or unconscious,
Mm-hmm.
is planting something in that mental garden of ours.
It is. And just like a gardener wouldn't just, throw any old seed in the ground and hope for the best,
Right.
we need to be so intentional about the thoughts that we are choosing to cultivate.
So how do we actually do that?
Right.
How do we move from just wishing and hoping to actually creating a life that we love?
Right.
I mean, Alan talks about, the importance of having a vision for your life.
Yeah, he does.
He says, and this is another one of those lines, he says, "Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become."
I mean, it's so powerful, right?
It is.
But it's not just about daydreaming, right? It's not enough to just have a vision board
Right.
or a list of goals.
Right. It's about cultivating a vision that is so vivid,
Yes.
so compelling,
Yes.
that it actually becomes a driving force in your life.
It has to.
It's about believing in that vision so deeply that it fuels your actions,
Yes.
your decisions, even just like the way that you see the world around you.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
And this is where I see a lot of people getting tripped up, honestly.
Yeah.
They have these incredible visions, but they don't truly believe that it's actually possible for them.
Oh.
And that's when the fear creeps in, the doubt creeps in, all those limiting beliefs come in and just totally sabotage their efforts.
Yeah. It's almost like they're constantly second-guessing themselves, like they're watering the weeds instead of the flowers.
Yes,
Uh.
100%. And that is why it is so important to cultivate a mindset of self-belief, like to trust in your own potential, to have faith in your ability to actually achieve those dreams.
It makes me think about that example that Alan gives of the young man who's stuck in a dead-end job, and he's just feeling totally trapped by his circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
He's got this dream of a different life, but he feels powerless to actually change it,
I've been there.
Totally. But then, something shifts within him, and he starts to actually visualize himself, living that different life, working at his dream job, experiencing that joy and fulfillment.
Love that.
And as he continues to cultivate that vision in his mind, something incredible happens. Like he starts to see opportunities where he once only saw obstacles.
Yeah,
He finds the courage to take risks that he would never have dared to take before.
absolutely.
And step by step, thought by thought, action by action, he actually starts creating the life that he once only dared to dream of.
It's amazing how powerful that is. It's such a great reminder that our circumstances don't define us.
Yeah.
It's really our thoughts, it's our beliefs, and ultimately it's the choices that we make. That's what shapes our destiny.
It's like, that saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yep.
Our beliefs are so powerful, they can become like self-fulfilling prophecies.
Totally. And, it's not just about achieving those big external goals either,
Right.
Alan also talks about the importance of cultivating inner peace and serenity.
Which, let's be real, can feel like a pretty Herculean task these days.
I know, right?
It's like we're constantly being bombarded with information and deadlines and this pressure to just be on all the time.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly why Alan actually considered serenity to be so important.
Yeah.
He called it one of the most beautiful jewels of wisdom. And he wasn't talking about, this passive head in the sand kind of serenity either.
Yeah.
He saw it as the ultimate form of self-mastery.
So how do we cultivate that, though? How do we find that sense of calm amidst all the chaos, especially when it feels like there's a whole industry built around keeping us stressed out and distracted?
Oh, totally. Well, it goes back to tending that mental garden that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
I think Alan would say that serenity is the natural byproduct of a mind that's been cultivated with care and intention.
Oh, okay.
It's about learning to just observe our thoughts without getting, totally swept away by them.
So it's not about like silencing our thoughts completely.
Right.
Because let's face it, that's pretty impossible.
It's not really about that. It's more about like choosing which thoughts we're actually going to give our attention to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes
Does
sense.
that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine like you're sitting by a river, right?
Okay.
And the thoughts are like the water flowing past. You don't have to like jump in and get caught up in that current.
Yeah.
You can choose to just observe, to just let them flow by.
That's such a good image. And it makes me think about how often we do get swept away,
Yeah.
especially by those like negative fear-based thoughts.
Yeah.
We let them dictate our emotions and our actions, like our whole outlook on life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where the practice of mindfulness comes in, I think.
Okay.
It's about becoming more aware of those thought patterns, recognizing when we're getting like hooked by them, and choosing to just, gently redirect our attention.
It's like training a puppy, right?
Yes.
You're not going to get like upset with them for having accidents.
Yeah.
You just patiently like guide them back to where they're supposed to go.
100%. And over time, with consistent practice,
Hmm.
we develop this like inner muscle, this ability to just choose serenity, even amidst all of the inevitable ups and downs of life.
So it's about like finding that stillness within, that place of peace that's always available to us, no matter what's going on in our external world.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's actually from that place of inner peace that we can truly begin to create lasting change, both in ourselves and in the world around us.
Well, I don't know about you, but this deep dive into As a Man Thinketh has given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
And more importantly, a lot to put into practice in my own life.
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
It's so good. And it's amazing. Like the book is over a century old.
I know.
But it's like this timeless wisdom
Yeah.
that just continues to resonate with people.
Totally. It really is a testament to the enduring power of our thoughts, and to the incredible potential that is dormant in each and every one of us.
It really is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this.
Okay.
What if you chose to see yourself as the architect of your own life? What kind of thoughts would you use to build with?
That's a great question.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.